Yes, welcome back, Loony listeners. You are listening to Into the Night, a Moon Knight podcast. This is episode 134. You are with your High Priest of Khonshu Rey, always here, always vigilant, trying to protect the travellers of the night, but sometimes I just leave it to the big fella. Welcome to our show. I have a special guest, a long-time Loony member. Always a pleasure to have him on this show. A big welcome to Chad, the power of Chad. How are you going, Chad?
Pretty good. Good morning to you.
Yes, again, Chad is he's taking the hit for the team. Wee hours in the morning. Yeah, you know, he shrugs at the thought. Patreon listeners, Patreon watchers can say it. But yeah, it's quite a comfortable time for me, so I'm very grateful. Thank you, Chad, for coming on board. We've got plenty of stuff to chat about, but before any of that, Chad, look, how you been? It's been ages since I've been able to chat with you.
Yeah, it's been, I think, a little bit before round robin.
Which was a while ago. Yeah.
It's been pretty good. New job, going really well. Let's see. Went and saw the Misfits live, and that was intense.
Nice. You're a huge Misfits fan.
Oh yeah.
For those that don't know, many comments that Chad makes in the group. Yeah, there's a lot of apologies for my ignorance, Chad. A lot of, is it Danzig?
Yeah.
Is he part of the Misfits?
No. He's the lead vocalist,
yeah.
And there's been some change in the hierarchy off and on, but now he's back doing reunion shows with them and all that jazz.
Okay. And how was the concert? Was that long ago? Was it a couple of weeks ago? A few weeks ago?
A couple months ago. It was midway through October.
Oh wow! Okay. And who supported? Anyone of note?
The Damned. That's kind of a big one.
Okay.
Let's see. There was
Bob Dylan. Was he there?
No. The Cro-Mags. They're kind of another punk band.
Okay.
There was a couple other ones, but yeah, those were like the big three that I was going there for.
Okay, nice one. Nice. Oh man, it's been ages since I've watched any live music. My partner Eve's, she's a huge music fan as well. We both love our music, different sorts of music, not your Misfits. So I think we'll be going to see Alanis Morissette. I think.
Well, that's a jagged little pill.
Look, I don't mind her music. I respect her as a musician. I don't really know much of her rather than her hits, but Eve's a big fan, so we might try and find a babysitter for that and go out and I don't know. Look, I'm not as agile as I was before, so it might be just some seats somewhere. Jeez, I sound like a bloody grandpa. But anyway, cool. Well, yes. So Looney's also off the top as well. It's awesome to have Chad here. We had a little message as always to our Patreon members. This is going to be released as a video exclusive for them. You too can become a Patreon member. I just wanted to do a big shout out as well to a new Patreon member, Joey Agliata. He was on the show a couple of episodes. Last episode with us. Big gaming fan and a huge comic book fan as well, let it be said. So he's picked up the Frenchie tier, so he's in the co-producer credits there. And I just wanted to give a little spiel as to what you can expect. So Joey's thrown in $5, which is pretty generous. Thank you very much, Joey. And for the Frenchie tier, you get a shout out on the show. Tick. You get the ITK monthly digest, which will come out around about the beginning of the month, towards the end of this month. It maps out what's planned for the month, some news and all that. So that's pretty cool. That replaces the weekly newsletter, which I'd released on a weekly basis. Joey gets access to these sorts of videos. So you're listening to the show now, but yeah, as I mentioned, there's a video of it. You can watch Chad drinking a coffee. You can watch me drinking some whiskey. And obviously there is 24-hour exclusive access before it's dropped to the rest. Also, Joey is privy to separate files for our audio serial adventure, The Hunt for Red October, not for Red October, The Hunt for Khonshu's Golden Scepter. He gets a co-producer.
Lay off the whiskey, man.
Yeah, I've only had 1 or 2 sips, which is a scary thing. Also, access to live streams, so if Joey wants, he could jump in here, we could say hello, he can chat on. The bonus episodes, which we'll release coming up, I think, Chad, is a little something that we can chat about, bit of an exclusive there, and also he's privy to some a magnet, sticker or button, so that's really nice from the ITK store. So you too, if you become a member, there's plenty of incentives. Please consider it. And thank you once again, Joey. So Chad, just talking about bonus episodes. So we've had a bit of a powwow with a few others. Why don't you let listeners know what we're kind of thinking of doing, which sounds pretty exciting.
Let's see here. Looking at the sheet here, not seeing the bonus episode.
No.
It's not down there. Oh, I see.
Yeah.
So you've railroaded me into it. Okay.
Yeah, I did. I'm throwing you into the deep end here. No, it was the 4 of us, and
yeah,
we are thinking of doing our top 5 Moon Knight artists, and we could probably expand this later on, depending on how cool, what feedback we get. Maybe do writers down the track, but this will be a fun thing. I mean, obviously there'll be overlap, Chad.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think we've got to structure it with. I mean, obviously we can have overlap, but I'm going to go for maybe some curly ones, because there are plenty of artists that have done Moon Knight, which I think should get some sort of recognition. So I've shared with you, I think, my 5 or at least 3 of them. How about yourself? Have you got your 5 nutted out? I think you have as well, eh?
I've got 4 of the 5 taken care of.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure we're going to have some overlap because, across everyone that's, supposed to be showing up for it, and we have some varied tastes.
Yes.
But it's pretty good.
It is pretty good, and it'll be interesting to see why we like the particular artists, or to hear why we like them. So that's something definitely to look forward to. Well, Loonies, also as well, the main reason why Chad is with me as well, we are going to do a LUNAR-PICK review, which is a comic book review. This time around it's a modern run, and as I mentioned, it will be on Bendis, his issue 5, which is a volume 6. So we've got that in store in the second half of our show. But again, before that as well, Chad, I've just put a couple of things in here. I thought you'd be interested in as well. I'm going to jump straight off the bat here. Cullen Bunn has been released. He's doing Shadow Man on Valiant Comics. So, as many listeners would probably know, Chad and myself are big Valiant fans. Well, in particular, Shadow Man. How did you take this news, Chad? Because you spoke to the guy.
So, I'm pretty excited about it because obviously it's Cullen Bunn. The guy knows his horror. Mm-hmm. And, that's kind of my wheelhouse. But when they announced it, they also released the fact that they're going to be doing several assorted variant covers, all inspired by famous horror movies.
Oh, that's right as well, yes.
And they're beautiful, especially the one for Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
It has, like the guy's face right up. And it's the same silhouette and everything as Michael Myers' mask. And it's the same type of, emotionless stance. And it's just I think I'm going to have to get those.
Yeah. Did you recognize
Yeah.
all the other covers, like all the other horror shows?
Um, I could bring it up real quick.
Yeah, no worries. I'm wondering. They do look beautiful as well. If I had enough coin in the purse, I'd definitely be getting it. I've actually stopped my current pulls, Chad. So I've gone on a bit of a classic reprints binge, so to speak. So I've been putting all my coin into that, which is great. I love it. But I can't do both because it's just too expensive. But something like Shadow Man, obviously Moon Knight, when Moon Knight gets his title, and we'll get to it later in the news with Avengers, the Age of Khonshu, I am definitely looking to pick up those. But everything else I've had to drop reluctantly, with a huge reluctance. So yeah. Have you pulled up got the covers happening there?
Let's see here. I found the original ones.
Mm-hmm.
There's one for us, the Jordan Peele.
Oh, is that the one with the
Um,
spooky eye looking straight at us? Oh, that one. Okay.
it's the mask coming off.
Yes, that's the one. Yeah. Cool. That's a nice one.
There's this one, which I'm pretty sure is inspired by Pumpkinhead. It's
Oh,
like
okay.
slashing through there. Um, and then here we go. Yeah.
Yes, that's the one
That's
I
the
saw.
Halloween
That's a
inspired
Halloween.
one.
Yes. Right, I didn't know that was Halloween, but that was the one that was most striking to me, actually. I thought that was the best one. So, yeah, I mean, Colin Bunn, pretty cool. I mean, he's done stuff like Venom, like Edge of Venom verse. He's been here. He's been around the traps for a while. Like, he's done Punk Mumbo, which is I love that miniseries from
That's,
Valiant. Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's so closely tied to Shadow Man, and
oh,
I
yeah.
just I mean, let it not be said as well, Chad. I think Shadow Man, look, without trying too hard to make parallels between him and Moon Knight, I like the element of Shadow Man because there is this thing where, I mean, he's kind of got this burden on his back, which is the lower, and it's, to me, it's kind of similar to Khonshu in that lowers his higher kind of power, but he seems to kind of possess and control Shadow Man. Jack Boniface is the character, very kind of tortured soul, and he jumps to the dead side. So yeah, it's a lot to do with death and stuff. But a very interesting character. Highly recommend it for any loonies who may want to check out Valiant, because they're going to be known a bit more now, Chad, with the Bloodshot movie coming out. Are you going to
Yeah.
look? Are you going to be checking that out, or?
If my little podunk theater actually takes it. I live out in the sticks,
Oh,
so
right.
yeah.
So just, yeah. Oh, it might be big enough, like, for mainstream. I don't know. Like, yeah. We'll see. We'll see. Yeah. So that'd be good. Colin Bunn as well. Yeah, he's done stuff like Deadpool. He's written Moon Knight as well. Let's not forget that. So he's more than capable. So a very exciting series to come up. Also, yeah, Chad, just a little touching base, maybe letting the Loonies know about our fantasy comic league. It's still going ahead.
Oh god.
And look, totally understandable. Brian, who's hosting it, life's quite busy. He's had another child as well, so things have been a little quiet on that front, but he's still managed to pump out the cards and the points for us, so we know what's kind of happening. This is our season 3. Started off in January. Tommy, I think he took out January, I
Yeah.
believe. So we're into February now. I'm happy to say that I'm, thanks to Doctor Strange, I'm in the lead. You have, Chad, you've got Wolverine. I think he's going to be killing it like now with the solo title just out.
Yeah, hopefully.
So he's been a
That'd be
little
nice
dormant.
if
Yeah.
everyone's been dormant for me every single runabout, except for Conan. 2 weeks.
Yeah. I can't believe it because I was looking at the cards and on paper, your drafts are pretty damn good. It's like, Conan, I think it's Venom, Wolverine, and I can't
Doom.
and Doom as well. But you're not having any luck. Oh, that's little Macy there, stalking his prey. But yeah, Fantasy Comic League, a lot of fun as well. And again, for like new listeners, people that have joined the group most recently, we do participate in the Fantasy Comic League. It's kind of like a football fantasy league, but it's for comic books. It makes it a little interesting, Chad, because as I mentioned, I don't collect the weeklies, so I'm just going off. There are some stats, appearances and all that. That's what I just go off anyway. So I think I picked Colossus because I didn't want anyone else to pick him because he's got like one of the most appearances. But in my heart of hearts, I know that he's not going to do much. I guess.
Well, I mean, it kind of depends on how Juggernaut's going to go, because those are two very closely knit characters.
That's a series that I'm actually looking forward to as well. That would be cool. How do you feel about him being kind of on the good side now these days? Or, well, recently-ish.
I've kind of always felt bad for Kane Marco. Dude has always been, like, lumped into the one role. And no one's really cared to get into him. And now he's actually got his own solo. It's a mini, but it's a solo.
Yeah. I reckon be considering to at least get the trade of it in digital or something. It's very interesting. Yeah, I mean, he's quite an interesting character with Citarac, the Crimson, the Ruby that he got, and how the fact that he's actually not a mutant, unless they've retconned that, I don't know, but technically he's not a mutant. He got his powers. Sorry?
Sorry. I thought he had some mutant abilities, but most of his, like, forward pushing and indomitability is all based off the gem.
Right. Okay. They may have retconned it because from the old classics, yeah, he was just the jealous, sporty brother to. And actually, I think Professor X was a sporty guy until he kind of lost the use of his limbs, and then Kane Marco was the kind of like jealous brother who found the crimson, the ruby of Citarac. But yeah, interesting. That's going to be a good title as well. I mean, Marvel's got a whole heap of stuff. Speaking of which, I guess we go down to some Moon Knight related news. Chad, how about the first one? Do you want to take the first one? And actually, before you do, maybe because this is a combined Mooney missive, we actually got something from a Loony. Do you want to read that one out first? He kind of.
Yeah, this one's from Chris Kelly, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So this one's directed at you. I know you're not big on the fan casting thing, which is smart, lol. It's fun, but ultimately just stresses me out. But I thought you may be interested in this interview of Oliver Jackson Cohen, my #1 fan pick for our beloved Moon Knight. He's actually asked straight out about Moon Knight casting. I hope he's just playing coy.
Yeah.
And then it's the YouTube link to the interview.
Mm-hmm. And a big thanks also as well to High Priest Rebecca. She posted it up on our group as well. Did you manage to see the video, Chad?
Yeah, I watched some of it.
Yeah.
I was at work at the time, but I pulled it up for a few.
Yeah. What do you think?
I think that if he bulked up a bit, he could do a real good job. Mm-hmm. Obviously his accent's a little bit off, but vocal coach and bam, it's fixed.
Exactly. I think physically as well. I mean, the first time I was introduced to him was I think it was Rebecca who showed me the photos, and he is super buff. Like he like in that whatever role he had. So he must be like Chris Hemsworth, where he slims down.
Haunting of Hill House.
Oh, you've actually seen him act as well? I've not. Yeah,
it's a Netflix series, and they're actually going to be doing a next season.
Okay.
So,
was he good in it or?
Intermittently.
Okay.
Like he doesn't get enough spotlight, in my opinion.
Okay. Yeah, I'd love to see Invisible Man, which is what he's been promoting, which is what you see in the YouTube or in the interview. It looks that just looks like really cool. I think it looks well made. I know some of it's done in Australia, but Elizabeth Moss, I think is her name. I think she's great in The Handmaid's Tale, and if he's the villain, then that'll be pretty cool.
She was actually in Us
Oh, she was as
as
well.
so like there's the primary family and then there's like the hoity-toity like other family across the lake,
Yeah.
and the psychotic like chud version of herself, she just nails that. It was
Wow.
really creepy.
Nice. I've got to see Us. Doesn't it have the actress from Black Panther as well? She's on the cover, right? She's on
Yeah,
the poster. Yeah.
that's her, and Umbaku is the husband.
Oh. Oh, wow. Welcome to Wakanda.
Yeah.
She's actually in an Aussie horror film as well, which looked really cool. I missed it in the cinemas. She was
Where
playing a...
she's leading all the kids around in the
Yeah.
zombie. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a comedy slash zombie thing. It looks so cool. Because it's a bit looks lighthearted. Yeah, and I just remember her. I think she's covered in blood, and they want to touch it and lick it. And she's no, it's not. It's like, or or she's saying it's jam or something. It's yeah. I think she's a good actor.
Kind
Yeah,
of. It kind of felt like Shaun of the Dead almost, but
yes,
kindergarten.
yeah. I think so. But I've forgotten the name of it, but I'm gonna have to look it up, and I'm sure it's released now to rent. I've got to give it a go.
Probably.
Yeah, but yeah. So that was the Oliver Jackson Cohen. Sorry, I'm a bit lazy there on the prompt sheet. Just gave him the one surname, Oliver Jackson Cohen. Yeah, I think he. I haven't seen him act. I think look wise again. Yeah, I think he. Yeah, I think he can do it. Yeah, I'm not really into the fan casting, but yeah, you're right. He looks the part. A bit of voice acting, voice coaching. You know, sweet. It's all good. The other big bit of news here, Loonies, is Newsarama, as always, released their solicitations for the next month, which is May. They release them a bit in advance, so the May solicits came out, and Avengers 34, some pretty juicy covers there to lap up. So for Moon Knight, and I'll just read the synopsis here. Very exciting. The Age of Khonshu. An empowered godlike Moon Knight has just saved the world from fiery ruin. Now an army of mummies and moon priests begin to reshape the world in the image of ancient Egypt. But where does that leave the Avengers? Broken, imprisoned, or on the run in the moonlit streets of how do you say? Is it Thebes? New Thebes City. Thebes City. I was about to ask, but it just answered the question there at the end, because you know how the Jeff Lemire had Welcome to New Egypt, and he had in his story how New York was converted into an Egypt of sorts, albeit in the mind of Mark Spector. I was wondering if Jason Aaron would be tapping into that. How do you see this unfolding, this Age of Khonshu? It looks big, the epicness of it.
So I had this like theory going a while ago that is proven wrong now. Just the whole like coming apocalypse of the Black Winter for Thor, for
Right.
Galactus, all that.
Yeah.
And that's obviously turning into the big tie-in with DC. So I don't know what this is going to entail.
Yeah, I wonder if there's going to be some parallel with DC then. You mentioned about the Black Winter, and the publishers always seem to do things in parallel. I wonder if there's some sort of tie. I don't know. I don't know much
Well,
DC, so
so basically the DC universe is ending.
oh,
And yeah, spoilers.
some Loonies.
There's all this.
No.
Yeah, I'm being a dick here. Spoilers. DC Universe is ending, and basically only some of the Justice League is making it out,
Okay.
and they're making a literal tie-in with the Marvel Universe.
What?
Yeah,
Really?
Perpetua has like started to shut things off, and just the entire universe was basically given a vote, and it's like, hey, would you want this like tyrant to just snuff you all out, or do you want to go ahead and like stand up against her? And basically, the combined willpower just kind of faltered
Oh, wow.
across the universe.
Wow. This sounds big, and I guess I might as well put some spoiler note in the show notes.
Yeah, really good
Just
idea.
in case. Sorry, any loonies who may be listening to this. I wouldn't say live, or there probably a couple of them. But anyway, wow. Okay. Well, this one, yeah, I've really got no idea. I'm just so out of touch with the thing. If anything, from the connection from Serpent War, there must be some connection between the worm and maybe Khonshu. Well, the worm, Khonshu, and Set. Really, we'll have to know what's happening. I think they've released it already. The Conan title, is it the Battle for the Serpent Crown, or it's a mini series as well that's come out. I think it's the direct kind of sequel to Serpent War. So we did see the Worm Crown at the end of Serpent War with Kull, the Conqueror, or he was called Kull the Destroyer there, which is either or. But yeah, so I'm assuming it's part of that kind of angle for Moon Knight, but we'll have to wait and see, because that's where Moon Knight has recently received his godlike powers from that series, which is very interesting as well. I want to see what that involves, because we've seen just little hints of it in that series. He makes some crescent blade. He can somehow see. I think he can see dead people. He mentions that towards the end.
Like Khonshu giving him directions to, like, what was it? Draw from the moons of the past and the moons of all the like present and what maybe will be.
Yeah, I have no idea what that means. Which means, well, he might have a hold over past, present, and future. So, which again
would make a lot of sense towards remaking all of New York into being New Egypt.
Yep, true. And a subtle tie there with whether intentional or not, with Cullen Bunn's annual with Kang and him time traveling as well. So there you go, Loonies. Connect the dots. Also, as well, in the May solicits, we have a facsimile edition of Werewolf by Night, issue 32, Where It All Began. Going for $3.99. I thought these facsimile editions were like $1.99 US. They've bumped it up to normal price now. Anyway, it's a reprint of issue 32. For Moon Knight fans, it's probably well tread territory. You know what's in it, but it might be fun to just have a copy of it, like as a floppy, the facsimile, because they go for a mint now, don't they? So have you got one? 32?
No.
Yeah, I missed that boat as well, but I know a lot of loonies have it, which well done. That's great. I mean, that's cool. I got a lot of it in reprint, so there you go.
Before we drop like the solicits, just wanted to point out that there's going to be a new Werewolf by Night series.
Oh yeah, by the Black Eyed Peas guy. Yeah,
Taboo.
And it's a very different. I think that's coming out in April, right? As well. Very different. It's not Jack Russell. It's based on Native American. I think it's Jake. His name's Jake. I don't remember his last name. But that will be quite interesting again as well. There seems to be a lot of interest in this, which feeds the speculation of a horror element to Moon Knight in the TV show, or they could just be, riding off the back of Moon Knight. Okay, he's going to be popular. He's been associated with horror. Let's just do the horror, because there've been a lot of releases, a lot of reprints, a lot of omnibuses on the Marvel Classic Horror as well. So, I don't know. Maybe I'm reaching there, Chad.
Well, it seems like there's a lot of horror-related tie-ins, lots of like touching in on the like older '80s like classics.
Yeah,
that was kind of the heyday for horror.
Yeah, have you read any Tomb of Dracula? I've heard that's very good.
So I've been reading Tomb of Dracula in correlation with the Tomb of Ideas podcast.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. So, are you enjoying it?
I love those guys. It's great.
Yeah. Oh no, I mean the
And
comic as well. Yeah.
Tomb of Dracula is, I know it seems like there's always like a Deus Ex Machina, like
Mm,
hey, we're just gonna usher this along to this next story that we have planned, and this and
yeah.
this and this. Um, I don't know, but that's with the Tomb of Dracula.
Yeah.
There's other titles in there that are pretty good that
Mm,
aren't so railroaded.
mm, mm. Yeah, I mean, I've read a lot of Werewolf by Night as well. I've read the first complete collection, which has been really enjoyable. Doug Mensch, Mike Plug art is, I reckon, really brilliant. But it's just that kind of era of writing, very different from today's, and there's just a sense of, I don't want to say like innocence, but there's just a particular structure to it, which is a lot of, just a lot of fun, a lot of dated bits to it as well. But
Yeah.
but I haven't read any Tomb of Dracula. I'd love to. So I think they've released some hardcovers of them, so or the complete collection. So that could be worth checking out. Also, finally, before we get into our review, Chad, there's just a couple of things here. Just a spec to call out. Again, just a shout out, just to let you know, Loonies, what's happening in and around our community. Next week, hoping to have released our next monthly installment of our audio drama, the hunt for, not Red October, the hunt for Khonshu's Golden Scepter. It's ramping up. We're up to episode 9, I think, Chad, and you've got a part in there as well. I might just have a little, we'll put a pin in it there, Chad, during the ad break. Just some really cool bits. I'll just fill you in on, because I've been working away at it. So you'll be happy to know that your burp has made its way in there in full force. It's great. So anyway, that will be out next week. Hopefully, I've started editing. Just got to do some refinements. I'm very excited to release that. Hope everyone's been enjoying that. And I thought just today, I'd release a poll on Twitter just to get some feedback for some Loonies and a chance to, dip your toe in it as well. And I put up a poll asking, how would you want to see this series end? There's still plenty of parts to go. We're up to part 9, and I think it's going to be at least maybe a 24 part. I've written up to 13. There's plenty still to explore, Chad. I've got big plans for you. Don't you worry. And you've been missing as well, which is a real shame. In the serial, I've got to write you in. I've got to write you in more because a big character there. Anyway, no spoilers. It will be released next week. What's happened to Chad for those that have followed. Anyway, yes, I'll put a poll up there on Twitter. Do you want to see a happy ending? In the literal sense, let's not go down that road. A sad ending, or do you want a cliffhanger? And Chad, you voiced your opinion. Did you? No? Yes?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. And what? Yes. Sorry.
I was down for a cliffhanger.
Yeah. Well, so far, I think it's 100% cliffhangers, so that's pretty cool. Which kind of means, hopefully, people would want something in the way of a new arc after it, which is kind of exciting. So yeah. Leave it hanging. Maybe potential to do more. I don't know. So, very exciting. So yeah, have a look on Twitter, on our Twitter page. Vote. What do you reckon? If you haven't heard the episodes, if you're new, just look in our previous back catalogue. And I think the latest one, episode 8, because we've stopped releasing them as single kind of episodes. You'll have to check out on episode 132, I believe, which is not that long ago. 131. Anyway, I'll have to let you know.
Numbers.
Who needs them? Why are they even here? No one wants you numbers. Anyway, so and finally, a couple other things. TeePublic as well. I just want to announce as well that we've re-released all the designs there, albeit the episode 101, which was a limited edition. So all the other designs have been put up there, available. So please check it out. TeePublic to get your ITK merchandise, whether in clothing, mug form, sticker, magnet, tote bag, pillow. You can have a cushion, Chad. You can snuggle up to Khonshu.
Yeah, but how about leggings? I need leggings.
Leggings? Okay, I'll make a note. We'll get that happening. But check it out in the show notes. It's always there. Just click on the link and show your support for the show. That'd be great. And finally, look, I'm going on a whirlwind tour. I'll be on a fair few podcasts in the fair few months, up and coming months. One of them is Penny Dreadful. So speaking of horror, Chad, have you watched the Penny Dreadful series, episodes, seasons?
I watched the stuff that's on Netflix. I am looking forward to the stuff that's coming out on Hulu.
Yeah, City of Angels. Yeah.
Yeah. I really love Josh Hartnett's character in that series.
Ethan Chandler.
The werewolf.
Yeah, he's very good. Oh, they're all good. Oh, man, we So anyway, sorry, Loonies, I'm getting ahead of myself. I will be guesting on TV Podcast Industries, that magnificent podcast hosted by Derek, John, and Chris. They do fantastic work reviewing TV shows and movies, and some comics as well. But we get into Penny Dreadful. We're going to go through a retrospective of seasons 1 to 3 that will come out progressively in the lead up to City of Angels in April or late April. So be on the lookout for that as well. Anyway, Chad, I think it is time. Why don't we go to a quick break? We'll listen to a couple of ads, and when we come back, we will start our LUNAR-PICK reviews. So catch you then.
Hello, I'm Anthony.
And I'm Dr. Issues.
And we're hosts of Capes on the Couch, the podcast where comics get counseling.
Superheroes don't always get to go home happy. That's where we come in.
We offer psychiatric and mental health analysis of comic book characters.
So check us out at capesonthecouch.live and across all social media platforms at Capes on the Couch.
Yes, welcome back, Loony listeners. You are listening to Into the Night, a Moon Knight podcast, episode 134. I am with the power of Chad. I'll just say that so I don't have to edit it later, Chad. I'll just add the effects there. Chad, we are here for a LUNAR-PICK review. Are you ready, my good sir?
I think so.
Excellent. That's what I want to hear. Chad is very excited to go through this Brian Michael Bendis, just like all of us. So anyway, Loonies, it is, and I'm going to put my hand up and say my bad. It's a waning crescent tonight. If you look up into the sky, and you're probably looking up into the sky going, hang on, it's a waning crescent. How come they're doing a modern run review? Because I know everyone knows these phases of the moon and our segments. But I say, yes, I've stuffed up. I've actually put it down as a waxing crescent, which is why we're doing a modern run review. A waning crescent is a classic run review. So, Loonies, repeat after me. Waning, classic, waxing, modern. Get that in your head, Ray. Anyway, we are going to do a modern run review. This is why we need the Golden Scepter, Chad. It's turning our show into mud. Anyway. We have to find it soon, okay? I'm putting it on you.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, so we are doing a modern run review. It is Moon Knight, issue 6. Oh, no, volume 6. Get it right, Ray. Come on. Wake up. Here we go. Volume 6, issue 5. I don't know why. You're on the weird hours, not me. But I am on the whiskey. And it is available on Marvel Unlimited, Comixology, or the Marvel Store, digital store. It's available on floppy still. It was available once in trade paperback. I think that's long out of print. I'm going to be reading it off, and again for our patroonies with the thing, I'm reading it off. I've just taken off the dust jacket. It is the Volume 1 hardcover of the Brian Michael Bendis run, and it's also available. They recently released a complete collection of hardcover as well. So there's plenty of options to check out this issue, this fantastic issue. Chad, do you mind giving the details, the credentials?
Sure. So it was released November 2011. Writer is Brian Michael Bendis. Penciler is Alex Maleev. Inker is Alex Maleev. Colorist is Matthew Wilson. Letterer is the legendary Corey Pettit. And the editor is Tom Brevoort.
Excellent. And again, for first-time listeners or new listeners, welcome. What we usually do, Loonies, is we'll go through our bare bones, what we like to call, and that's a synopsis of the issue. This week it will be courtesy of Wiki, which I'm very fortunate. And then Chad and I will go through our aspects, and generally it's basically a free form, but we will try to address writing, art, themes, characterizations, and any references to other runs. And to cap it all off, we will finish it with a moon rating, and it will be either a vanilla rating or Khonshu's patented rating system out of 10. So let's get into it. Chad, can I also maybe ask you to read? You're very calm, cool, and collected. I'm a bit frazzled today. Would you like to read the bare bones?
Sure. Okay. So this is courtesy of Wiki. Police have Moon Knight and Maya surrounded. The voices in Mark's head are telling him conflicting information, but Mark is more concerned for Maya. Once in cuffs and taken down to the ground, Mark realizes they're using excessive force. The Wolverine voice inside Mark's head becomes too loud, and he summons Logan to help him break away. Mark successfully grapples away, but Maya is still left behind. The voices in Mark's head, again, give him conflicting information as to whether to run back for Maya or not. However, Maya knocks out a police officer and runs away with a squad car. Mark is smitten. He glides from atop the perch and tails the squad car to land on top of the car and enter. After a car chase and successfully getting away, the two pull over to collect themselves. The two argue on who left whom behind, but they agree that Maya's apartment is no longer safe. The two kiss, and she hits Mark repeatedly for payback. Buck picks up Mark from an alley, and Mark tries to defend his evening. Meanwhile, the LA Kingpin flexes his muscle as he successfully helps TikTok walk away with his lawyer while frightening the police.
Yes, thank you, Chad. That was the bare bones, a synopsis, a quick rundown of this issue. Now, I guess I've got a few notes here, Chad, but I'm going to open it to you first. Overall impressions, what did you think of this Volume 6, Issue 5 by Brian Michael Bendis?
So, my usual gripe with Bendis is that he fills the panels too much with assorted text bubbles, whether it's actual spoken word or thoughts, etc. Especially what should be in too many thought bubbles in this. It wasn't actually that bad, considering that there was Cap, Spider-Man, Wolverine in Mark's head simultaneously. That was my opinion. It could have been a lot worse because that's literally what I have a problem with.
Yes.
With the content, that Wiki didn't cover the fact that the police were trying to take a selfie with a detained Mark. And that changes the color dramatically.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Also, Maya didn't invite any kind of contact with Mark. It was really not okay. So her punching him a few times, it was warranted. Yeah. I know, totally agree as well. What I will say with that, though, was upon first reading as well, I guess it's a nuance that
you'd really have to pick up in the art, because there's no word, like there's the two panels, right, of them like looking at each other in profile and then of them kissing. And at first I thought it was a mutual thing, but then if you look closely, it's obviously Mark going forward and Maya, because you can see her lips, like, which is really well drawn. You can see her lips like not moving, like with his kiss, and she's kind of gone back a bit as well. But I didn't pick that up at first. I thought that was just them kind of kissing, but obviously her reaction kind of spells out what had happened there as well. Yeah, very interesting. I don't know. Again, I'd have to say, reading the entirety of Bendis's run, I find a lot more enjoyable than reading issue to issue, which is the way it was released, per month. Because for me, writing wise, I put in the notes of writing. It was very simple, and again, nothing much happened. Like, so there were a few instances, there were a few little snapshots of this relationship between Mark and Maya. And the thing I found most interesting was towards the end with Detective Hall and TikTok, because I think Bendis actually does a good interrogation scene. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't feel totally fulfilled with the issue. Yeah, it just feels like it really does feel like a fragment of a story, rather than something. And I know this serial, like a monthly comic book, you can argue that they all are fragments, but I mean as in something that really is rounded and has a sense of kind of, I don't know, closure, and there's enough in there to be a self-contained story itself. Yeah, so I found that kind of lacking in this. And I put in here my notes. It was, writing wise, it was made up of moments, so it's very kind of Bendis-y. There's just little moments, like two things I'll point out. The one with Maya and Mark, obviously, and they're just talking or arguing about who got who into trouble with the cops. They bicker about that for a bit, and then over the course of 3 pages, then it's Mark kissing Maya, and then it kind of goes. And so it's about their relationship as one. Buck, like, there's a totally, I think, pointless little page of him with this woman talking about Alison Blair, who I have no idea who that person is. And it seems at the end of it that she's trying to kind of crack onto him because she believes he's part of Stephen Grant's entourage, and it can somehow advance. Maybe she's an actor, a budding actor, I don't know. That's the sense that I got from it. But at the end of the day, it has nothing to do with anything, and it didn't really reveal any insight to me on Buck at all. And then the next scene, you see Buck pick up Mark, and it's like, well, this has nothing to do with what happened before. It's just actually a scene of Buck getting the phone call. That's all it is.
Yeah.
That's all it is. And then finally the interrogation scene was at the end, but that was a couple of pages, and that was kind of interesting. I thought there were a couple of things there which I'll discuss with you. But yeah, how about writing? Anything, Chad, that you find with the writing of note, or something that probably wasn't present?
I didn't see a lot of the other voices in Mark's head when he gets picked up by Maya. Didn't seem exactly right.
That stopped, didn't it? It seemed like it was just used at the beginning as I guess, incentive for him to escape. But yeah, they just disappeared. Is it because they're all smitten with Maya? Like, that they're all happy?
Well,
yeah.
Kind of does make sense. I mean, each one had a different point of view, saying, "Oh yeah, she's nice." Like Wolverine liked that she was using excessive force, and Cap liked her agency, and Spider-Man liked that she was talking back to him.
Yeah. Well, it's an interesting point. I didn't actually pick up that each of the identities had that kind of attraction towards her. One of the points I'll jump down to themes, I guess. I put under themes, one of the main points of this story was the relationship between Mark and Maya. And it's an interesting point that you say that the identities had that kind of differing attraction to Maya. But for Mark to have an overall attraction to her, I don't know, did you find that... Did you have any opinion of that? I thought it was a bit strange and a bit out of character for him. Like, to have someone who is quite abusive towards him.
Well, I mean, how many times has Marlene stabbed him?
Yeah, okay. I mean, yeah. But I still see Marlene as a vastly different character to Maya, in a sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Marlene hasn't had to deal with, like... How do I put this? Marlene doesn't have an active disability. And she comes from a moneyed family. She comes from, just like everything's set up for her. Mm-hmm. The biggest disability she has is Mark.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I actually sometimes forget, and Mark does say it in the issue. I sometimes forget about Echo, but yeah, she's deaf. That's one of her things, which could explain why she's really taken aback by Mark. But it's not like he kind of tried to kiss her when she wasn't looking. You know what I mean? They were looking at each other full on. So and she kind of, there's a bit of flirting happening. I mean, you're not as cute as you think you are. That sort of kind of remark could be taken, obviously, in a different way. But
and the previous issue was her inquiring about him, just like, has anyone dated Moon Knight?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, regardless of Mark not knowing what, of her asking that, there is an interest that she has in him. But I found it very interesting that he seems to be smitten and he gets the crap punched out of him from which I think was, I don't know, the way it was drawn looked excessive. Like, it was high red colours. He was, there were mid-air blood clouds coming from his face and stuff. But he still smiles and he's like, oh, this is cool. Like, it's almost as if he's turned on by it. And I don't know, I just found that a little out of character for Mark as well.
Really? Out of character for Mark to be into violence?
Well, not from people that he's, like, I guess attracted to.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I always see Marlene as, although she's very capable and she's very, she's quite a strong individual in her own right. There is obviously that kind of back catalogue of her, being shown in lingerie all the time. Every time she appears, she's kind of beckoning Mark back to the bedroom, which, is not...
Squeaky velvet,
which I'm not saying is what she should be, but unfortunately the legacy of that carries on into how her character has developed. So, to me, Mark's kind of... I wouldn't say he's into, like, the meek, like, submissive, individual, but I don't know, I just don't see him as into... Has he had any other Tigra? Okay. Actually, maybe Tigra. She's quite. You're right. He had a bit of a fling with her. She's not exactly. Yeah. I can't really think of anyone else that he's had a romantic connection to.
I forgot her name, but she was like a very pragmatic businesswoman in the classic run. I think her last name was like Stone or something like that.
Okay.
And trying to remember what actually happened with it, but she basically took none of Mark's guff and just kind of like,
yeah,
oh, look, Playboy's back.
Yeah. Actually, you're right, and I'm actually thinking I may have to retract everything I've said. Stained Glass Scarlet as well. There's a really weird relationship there. She stabs him, throws him into the sea, and he's still kind of into her. I guess that's I guess that kind of argues the point. Yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, that is what I kind of gleaned from it, and I guess then, having talked that through, Chad, I guess Bendis is consistent then with how it depicts Mark in this. Just off the bat, though, I thought it was, but no, it's actually consistent with his other stuff. I thought writing-wise as well, I put a nice use of the cape. I thought that was pretty nifty. The little action scene where he throws it and it covers the windscreen of the police. Don't really see him use the cape like that very often. So I thought that was quite innovative of Bendis. I mean, it's not totally an original thing, but from Moon Knight, it's pretty cool. Now, also as well, what have I got here? Characterized. Oh, okay, I'm going to jump to characterized. You're talking about the police, right? And and the selfie. Now, they also make mention. They also sound as if they don't know what, kind of like Oliver Jackson Cohen. They don't know what a Moon Knight is, you know. But he has been on the West Coast. He is a West Coast Avenger. Surely, people on the West Coast would know who Moon Knight is. If he's been an Avenger, surely they would know who he is. I mean, sure, he was a secret Avenger, but he's been a West Coast Avenger. So I thought that was a little strange.
Not to mention, I'm pretty sure there's ghost stories of, vigilante that likes to throw weird-shaped darts at people.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's not like he leaves, pristine people to just be like, oh, that was weird. No, he has Frenchie making rounds around people with cannons pointed.
Yeah,
it's like
exactly.
Some notoriety.
He leaves criminals with crescents burnt into their heads. I mean, or carved out of their heads. A little bit of notoriety there, I'd think, You'd think the NYPD would be speaking at least to the LAPD about this crazy guy. But anyway, and yeah, just from writing, I think we've covered most of the points. I found the most interesting the interrogation scene. Oh yeah, but with the interrogation scene here, another bit of writing, I think a bit of loose writing from Bendis. TikTok. Now remind me again, Chad, why is it called TikTok? What is his superpower?
His superpower is he can see the immediate future.
Mm-hmm.
And basically he sees multiple timelines, but just within a few minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, so, I don't know, the way he was played in the interrogation scene, he was almost about to sing to the cops about who his boss was. Wouldn't he have known that he would have been picked up by the lawyer? Wouldn't he have known that he's pretty safe? So Bendis, who created this character, should know more than anyone that TikTok would be, if anything, he'd be cocky. Yeah?
Can I also say that he looks like Bendis?
Yeah, he does, yeah. I know. So what's happening? I mean, for the sake of writing, Bendis must have just foregone that ability. Actually, the ability that was the whole point of Detective Hall being so angry at TikTok, and trying to get this info from him. So I found that a little poor in that sense. Yeah, it ended up running as more of a generic interrogation scene, whereas it could have been played a whole lot more interesting with TikTok knowing what Detective Hall was going to say, or preparing him and stuff like that. So that with writing. Now with art, Chad, any notes here? Any thoughts on the art in particular by Alex Maleev?
I really love Alex Maleev's art. I didn't have a problem with anything except for Mark's facial hair. It's really weird.
Yeah.
Like, the mustache is a little bushy for Mark.
Yeah, well, he's been having a rough trot. Maybe he's just always forgotten the big razor, forgotten his shaver. Look, I thought, again, just comparing it with Maleev's work in Daredevil, and this could be an intentional thing. With this run, not only just this issue, but it's been a lot more scratchy, a lot more stylized to me, to what he has done in Daredevil. So I just noticed that more and more, and it seems I love the way that he portrays Mark, especially when he's all white and the cape is flowing, and it's just really fluent and organic. Which is really great. But sometimes, I don't know, it just seems that I won't say rushing it, but it's a more sketched style than his other ones. he inks it as well, so the ink is heavy as well in as well.
Yeah.
So just something I noted. And there's a nice splash page of Mark soaring over the copse. You know that one?
Yeah.
And just for the benefit of those that may be watching, Patroonies, hailing from Patronus, that one there, it's pretty cool. Again, a little nod to the old
stylized.
Yeah, but the nod to the Sienkiewicz kind of, he started it with a crescent-shaped cape, but more in the Moonjet style, which is pretty cool. I actually put Bendis I thought he was one of the cops, because he is notorious for putting himself in, like, his comics, in a scene, and rightly so, he could easily be TikTok, but there's a bald cop at the beginning on page 2. I thought that was him as well, looking straight into the camera, so to speak. So let me again pick that up for the benefit of those that do have visuals. You probably see it there. There he is. I don't know if it is him or not. I mean, he's bald, so the Bendis is not.
Let's see, page 2. Yeah, I could see that being Bendis.
Yeah,
although his cheeks are a little pudgy to be Bendis in this year.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, true. I mean, he doesn't look exactly like Bendis, but again, I'm just pulling it because he's bald. And what I've noticed as well, just from reading a lot of Superman Bendis at the moment, and I'll have to reread the Daredevil ones to see, I noticed with the layouts, and it must be Bendis, or Malieve actually, that does it, there's a lot of panels that go across the 2 pages. You know what I mean? Where you have to read across the entire 2 pages as you go down, as opposed to reading just vertically down on one page and then vertically down on the other. So I don't know, just something I picked up. It's not good or bad. It's just a style which I think's quite interesting. It can be a little annoying if it's in digital because you have to kind of go to landscape all the time. Yeah. Right, now, themes. Now, as I mentioned, I think the main theme was Mark and Maya's relationship. That seemed to be the most. You could argue there's a bit of a theme with Mark and Buck, but even then, despite what the synopsis says, Buck doesn't seem too annoyed at having to pick up Mark at all.
I think a more prevalent theme than just individual relationships is that Mark is entirely, dependent on all of his relationships. Because, other heroes, they just kind of do their thing, and they've done it for so long that they just kind of have the routine. While Moon Knight has had, Frenchie in his routine for so long. He has Frenchie do everything.
Yes.
And so, without that camaraderie, he turns to Maya. Without that tech, without that backup, he turns to Buck. Yeah.
It's funny because it's such a contrast, isn't it? Because he's seen always as the lone wolf, not really want to being a team player, but even in the men's run and the classic run throughout, he is very reliant on his family, which that he calls it in the men's run, is his supporting cast, his close friends. So yeah, that is a good point. It does pick up here, like he does rely on Buck. And I'll jump to the references to other runs. He does reference Frenchie, as you mentioned, because Buck asks, did you have someone that did this for you before? And he goes, yeah. He said, we didn't really get on that well. We don't get on that well now, which I think is a reference to the Houston run, obviously, because there was a massive fallout around that time or off-panel before the Houston run. So, yeah, but Frenchie does get an indirect mention over here as well. And the other theme as well, Chad, I think...
Can I put a halt on that real quick?
Okay, yeah, sure.
It's worse than that. In the comic, Buck asks, hey, where's the other guy? Did he die or something? And Moon Knight straight up says, I don't know. I hope he's not dead.
Oh, really? In this
He's
issue?
that in the dark that he doesn't know
I think so.
whether or
I
not
hope so.
Frenchie's dead.
Yeah. Well, that's actually, yeah. I didn't pick that up, but you're right. So they've really, if anything, it implies that they've really distanced themselves, that he doesn't really know what's going on with Frenchie, which we need more Frenchie, right, you know?
Yeah.
He's a dude. What is that issue, Chad? Do you know it, where he goes it alone? He fights Killer Shrike by himself. It's in Mark Spector. 38 or something.
I don't remember. Like, there was that week where I just read everything in Moon Knight.
Yeah.
Oh, God, what was that?
It's a great thing about
That's
Moon
going to
Knight.
bother me.
You're going to have a little look up. But yeah, so a reference there, Frenchie. We need more Frenchie. I hope we see more Frenchie in the new series that we will get later on. I hope we do. Yes, so there's a very interesting point there, Chad, of course, as well. 2011 this was, and so this was followed up by the Warren Ellis run where I can't remember. Is Frenchie featured in that at all?
Briefly, but not anything serious. It's just with the wannabe Black Spectre.
Oh,
starts
yes.
interviewing all of his
Yeah, so I mean, we need Frenchie back happening. It's he's popped up in the Bemis run as a zombie.
Well, kind of a zombie.
Kind of, yeah.
That was a sloppy retcon.
Yeah, I just want, I want more of his supporting cast, like, as a staple, you know what I mean? He's been very much on his own for a while. So get them back. And the other theme was LA Kingpin, this sway that he has over the police I put down. Again, it only crops up at the very end. But we know who that is, right? There's no mystery because it was revealed, right? I'm getting that right, wasn't it? He was revealed in silhouette. Everyone can tell who it was. Let me just quickly look at the previous issues. I'm pretty sure, like the employer of the night shift. Oh no, that was no. Anyway, no spoilers. We know. Oh, I thought we did see him. Okay, maybe not.
Why are you misleading the Loonies?
No, see, this is a problem of when you've read it all, right, and you get things mixed up now of when things occur. Anyway, okay. So the LA Kingpin is still a mystery, but you know this is an old run. We know who it is, don't we, Chad?
I honestly don't remember.
Count Nefaria. Is that how do you pronounce his name? The guy with the monocle. He's pulling the strings behind it all. And he and Mark have a showdown later on. Pretty sure it's him. I'm going to look at this. Sorry, Loonies, you're going to have to bear with me. I'm pretty sure we see a silhouette of him and his monocle at some point. So it's not really pointed out that it's him, but you know it is him. Yeah, there he is. End of issue 2. That one. So he employs...
Okay.
Yeah. He employs... God, I even forgot her name. She's heading night shift. But yeah. Anyway, so...
Dance Macabre.
Yes, that's a one. Oh, no. She was the one in the grey suit that got kind of offed, I think. Anywho, so there's this apparently a mystery, but we all know who it is. So, again, my
Except
point...
me.
So I guess my point is the themes run pretty... there's not much here. You could argue the fact that it could be a bit of a statement of the LAPD police, the LAPD with the phones and all that. Rightly so.
Almost like there's corruption.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Unheard of. And look, finally, we'll wrap it up here, Chad, with characterizations. Like, Are these people true to how they've been portrayed in the past? I will raise a question again, Chad. Wolverine, Cap, and Spider-Man, is there any real reason why they can't be Lockley, Grant, and Spectre in this issue?
No.
No.
Like,
Yeah.
I harp on that endlessly. I don't see why this had to be a thing at all.
Other than Bendis trying to pull in... I mean, they are the popular characters. Other than Bendis using them as a gimmick,
Yeah.
I don't see them any different. I'm just trying to recall if there's any reason why Mark would have to dredge up these characters as his alters, opposed to his others. I don't see why. Maybe he misses New York. Maybe that's why he's conjured them up while he's in LA. I don't know. Yeah, it's interesting. Also, Maya. Chad, I don't know how much you know about Maya. Is this true to her character? Like, she's actually quite... I found it, again, as I mentioned, quite violent when she was towards Mark. I know she's an awesome fighter. Like, she takes on Daredevil, and, she can...
Well, she can take on Daredevil for, her ability's sake.
Yeah. Yeah, well... What do you mean, Echo? What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
of
that's what
the
messes
Taskmaster.
with echolocation, and that's entirely his middle ear is his superpower.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, true.
I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, just a question on how, violent or whatever, or how her character is. I'm not too familiar with her other than from the Daredevil run. I know she's done a bit more than that in the Avengers and such. The other characterization, mentioned before about he was in the West Coast Avengers. How do they not know him? And, Detective Hall at the end. He makes mention, his last line is something like, Moon Knight, it's all up to him now. Now, again, do they not, or do they know about Moon Knight? Because the police at the beginning don't seem to know about Moon Knight. Maybe the detective does. But then, I didn't understand that ending, though, totally, Chad. So TikTok gets taken away by the lawyers, and Detective Hall's superior says, we're going to have to let them go. And then Detective Hall says, well, it's all up to Moon Knight now. Is that him just losing faith in the police force, I guess? But then why is it up to Moon Knight? Like, you know what I mean? Is he the only superhero in LA?
In LA, probably not, considering.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty sure this time period, what's his face? Angel, the Angel of Vengeance, is down there.
Angel? Like Warren Worthington?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Angel of Vengeance? What? Archangel?
Yeah.
Oh.
His street name was the Angel of Vengeance. It's like, really? Come on.
I love that character, but unfortunately I haven't followed him. I love Archangel. I think he's got a cool design and stuff. But I didn't know he was in LA around this time. So.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I guess, shall we wrap this up then, Chad? Unless you have any other points you want to make mention about this issue.
Not offhand.
No.
Trying to think of anything. No?
No? Yeah. Cool. Well, how about we go give this a... Sorry?
No. Go ahead.
How about we go give this a good old-fashioned moon rating? Chad, have you got a score prepared? What would you give
I
this?
do not have a score prepared because I didn't want to think on it too much without talking it through.
Okay. Well, how about I'll give you a little time to think. I'll give mine... Look, I went for a 4 out of 10. It's a bit harsh, it may seem, but I firmly believe, and I reiterate again, this works better if you read at least the first 6 issues together. It's part of a greater whole. As a standalone issue, I think there's not much substance to it, unfortunately. It really feels like you're coming in at the middle of a movie and you're leaving before the end of the movie. And yeah, so in that sense, it's not as satisfying. So it falls under the pass mark of the 5. So I'm giving that a Telephone Moon rating 4 out of 10. The artwork is good. I prefer the Maleev in Daredevil, that sort of art. I can understand if Maleev is doing this intentionally to have that scratchy kind of represent Moon Knight in a different light, but I do love the way he represents Moon Knight in this. Pretty cool with the flowing cape reminiscent of, I think it's Jerome Opeña from the Benson run after Houston. Very memorable. But 4 out of 10. How about yourself, Chad? What would you give this?
Like, I want to give it a 4 out of 10, but I really do like the art.
Yeah, sure. No, I mean,
does
that's,
it for me.
Yeah, of course. It's personal taste, so.
But the content, yeah, I'd say it's a 4 out of 10 Telephone Moon.
Telephone Moon? Okay, let me look.
The patented Khonshu system.
A big thanks to Khonshu for all their great work on this rating system. It has proven a hit, I tell you. 4 out of 10, an average of 4 out of 10 from us Loonies. I forgot, again, my bad, put it up to, just being a little busy, to the discussion thread. So there's no real feedback, but let us know what you think of this issue, Loonies. Issue 5, just drop it in the group or on the page or on Twitter. What do you reckon? Is it worth more than 4 out of 10, or are we being too generous? Up to you. So yeah, looking forward to hearing any feedback from that this issue. Anyway, Chad, that wraps us up for this show. Thank you so much for coming on a strange hour. But it's been great catching up. Hey.
Strange hour. It's like I woke up at like 7:20 today.
Okay, yeah, no, fair enough. Actually, having said that, one of the hosts from TV podcast industries, Chris, he was going to travel to Japan for a work arrangement, but because of the coronavirus, he hasn't been allowed to go there. But apparently, he still has to carry on his work, so he's working off Japan time over in Ireland. So he's waking up in the wee hours of the morning to start work, and it's unfortunate as well because I think he does a lot of conferencing. So his wife obviously wouldn't appreciate that. So he's thinking, does he have to go into the office, and work through the dead of night? I feel for you. Hearts out to you, Chris. I hope you can get your schedule sorted and you get used to it at least for the time being. But no, huge thanks, Chad. It's been awesome. We will hear you again. Chad will return next week in the guise of the serial, very briefly. But Chad is there. But a huge thanks to Chad. Chad, is anything that you wanna plug or shout out? Where people can find you? Drop a line or.
I mean, there's Angled Time on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
The rest is I'm just Chad Jernigan on Facebook.
Excellent.
You can find me lots of places by those handles.
And if there are any representatives of Bacardi Dark Rum, Black Rum, please get in contact with Chad. He would love to have you as a sponsor. So there you go. Shout out to Chad. Next phase, Loonies, thank you for listening. We are going back to a Waxing Crescent. Now, as I mentioned, I got them mixed up. So, Waxing Crescent, we are meant to do a modern run review, but we will be doing a classic run. So, we'll be looking back at the Doug Mensch classic run, issue 11, To Catch a Killer. That will be a fun one. I think it's a one and done, Chad. I know that you've read this. You've probably read all of them. If you remember, I only had a brief look. It's Moon Knight cracking down on some heroin drug dealers, and one of them happens to be, a really super strong guy, and he's got like a sailor cap. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, that guy, Creed. I think his name's Creed. And it's not explained why he's so strong, but Moon Knight goes up against him, and yeah, it's pretty classic old school tales.
Maybe he's related to Creel.
Crusher Creel? Yes.
Creed, Creel.
Could be.
Might be.
Could be. Anyway, I doubt he turns up again in the Marvel Universe. I say get Chip Zdarsky to bring him back on. Why not? Anyway, so we do that next episode, Loonies, issue 11. So get reading, and I'll put up a discussion post for that. You can leave your comments there. Finally, we are part of the Collective, a band of few like-minded podcasts. Awesome shows. Just check them out from the likes of the Inhumans podcast, Adeland Rising. I listened to their podcast just recently. Capes and Lunatics, those zany, wacky people. A big shout out to Phil over there, doing great work on Spider-Man, Deadpool, Quasar, you name it. These guys cover everything. And EMP.
Nightwing.
Nightwing, yes. Do you like Nightwing, Chad? Do you follow the books?
I think I've fallen out on reading Nightwing specifically, even though I really like the character. They did that big, he's Rick Grayson thing, and it kind of made me angry.
I heard of that. Yeah, that sounded pretty funny. Look, if anything, Phil, and if you're listening as well, I out of the whole Bat family, I reckon I'm most curious on Nightwing. Dick Grayson, he seems pretty cool. So there you go. Props to Phil. Fill me in. And also, yeah, just the likes of, I was going to mention EMP, the Earth's Mightiest podcast. Those guys are going great guns as well. A big shout out to Bobby, to Viet, and to Corwin as well. Doing great stuff. Also, you can contact us on email, itkmoonnight@gmail.com, or just check out our show notes for the links to Facebook, Twitter. We're all over the place. You can catch Chad, as mentioned, in our group, in the Loony Bin, or on his Angle Time Twitter handle as well. I think that's it. I mean, other than ratings, please rate us if you can. Other than that, thank you so much for listening. And as always, Loony listeners, may Khonshu watch over the denizens of the night. Catch you later.
And affiliated characters, stories and events are properties of Marvel Characters Incorporated. Materials used and discussed within the podcast are intended for critique and review purposes only under the fair dealing concept of the current Copyright Act. The views, information or opinions expressed during the podcast are solely those of the individuals involved and do not necessarily represent those of the copyright owners.